In the year 2420, the serene blue sky of Earth was abruptly shattered as a colossal armada materialized from the void of space. The Imperial fleet of the Atraxi Confederation, a multitude of sleek, battle-ready ships, cast ominous shadows over the major cities of the world. The sudden arrival sent a wave of panic across the globe. Major Jack Reynolds, stationed at the United Earth Defense's command center, stood before a massive digital display, observing the alien ships with a critical eye. His team, composed of the finest military minds and pilots, including Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders and Captain Mia Chen, gathered around, awaiting orders. "We've got the Atraxi on every channel," Captain Chen reported, adjusting the communication panel. "They're broadcasting an ultimatum to every nation." Major Reynolds narrowed his eyes, focusing on the task at hand. "Let's hear it," he said calmly. The voice of the Atraxi commander, cold and imperious, filled the room. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth. This planet is now under the dominion of the Atraxi Confederation. Surrender your leaders and disarm your forces to avoid total annihilation." The room erupted in low murmurs of disbelief and anger, but Reynolds raised his hand for silence. He turned to his team, his expression steely. "We need to respond, but not with words. Sanders, what's the status on our orbital defense systems?" Lieutenant Commander Sanders quickly checked the data on his tablet. "All systems are operational, Major. We can have the orbital cannons online in minutes." "Good," Reynolds nodded. "Prepare to deploy the orbital defense. We'll give them a welcome they weren't expecting. Chen, coordinate with the Air Forces. I want our jets in the sky yesterday." "Yes, sir," Chen replied, her fingers flying over the control panel, issuing rapid commands. Reynolds then opened a secure line to the world's leaders, his voice embodying the calm before the storm. "This is Major Jack Reynolds of the United Earth Defense. We have a plan to counter the initial threat, but I urge all nations to stand together. Unity is our strength." As the defense systems whirred to life, Reynolds continued to strategize with his team. "We need to hit them hard and fast. Eric, once the cannons are ready, target their flagship. Disrupt their formation." Sanders nodded, his eyes on the orbital trajectory screens. "Targeting coordinates set. We'll aim for the propulsion systems." Captain Chen updated Reynolds on the fighter jet deployment. "Our jets are airborne. Squadrons Alpha through Delta are approaching the engagement zone." The command center was a hive of activity, each member of Reynolds' team performing their duties with precision. The screens showed the first images of Earth's fighter jets, sleek and deadly, darting towards the massive Atraxi ships. "Fire the orbital cannons on my mark," Reynolds ordered, watching as the Atraxi fleet maneuvered ominously above Earth. "Now!" The room held its breath as streaks of brilliant light shot from Earth's surface towards the Atraxi flagship. The impact was spectacular, a bright flare in the dark space, and the flagship's propulsion systems faltered. Cheers broke out in the command center, but Reynolds remained focused. "Stay sharp. This is just the first move in a much larger game. Sanders, keep an eye on their response. Chen, make sure our air forces are ready for any counterattacks. We've shown them Earth won't go down without a fight." As the initial chaos of the battle unfolded, Reynolds and his team prepared for a prolonged struggle, knowing that the future of Earth hung in the balance. Their swift and unified response had set the tone for the conflict to come. Earth might have been caught off guard, but under Reynolds' leadership, they were ready to defend their home by any means necessary. The first strike had rocked the Atraxi fleet, their flagship momentarily crippled by Earth's orbital cannons. In the United Earth Defense Command Center, Major Jack Reynolds reviewed the tactical data flowing in, his mind racing with strategies. "We've got them rattled, but a wounded animal is most dangerous," Reynolds cautioned, addressing his top aides, Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders and Captain Mia Chen. Chen, monitoring the airspace activities, pointed out, "Their smaller vessels are regrouping. Looks like they're preparing for a descent." Sanders added, "If they hit our cities, we could face heavy civilian casualties. We need a containment strategy." Reynolds nodded. "Let's use this to our advantage. We'll draw them into a ground trap. Mia, coordinate with the Air Forces. Lead the Atraxi to these coordinates." He pointed to a remote area on the map, away from civilian populations. "It's a decoy operation. Make them think they've found our central arsenal." Chen immediately relayed the coordinates to the fighter squadrons. "Delta and Echo teams, reroute to Sector 7. Initiate Protocol Bravo." Meanwhile, Reynolds turned to Sanders. "Eric, prep the drone fleet. Once the Atraxi are in position, I want a full barrage. Use the EMP drones to disable their tech." Sanders acknowledged the order and began setting up the drone deployment. Drones will be airborne in 5 minutes. EMP payloads are locked and loaded. The command center hummed with focused energy as the team orchestrated the complex maneuver. Above Earth, the Atraxi fleet, baited by the prospect of a decisive blow, began their descent towards the trap set by Reynolds. Captain Chen kept her eyes glued to the radar screens. Atraxi forces are taking the bait. They're heading towards the decoy site. Reynolds watched the live feed from the drones, observing as the alien ships clustered over the supposed arsenal. Now, Eric, launch the EMP strike. With precise timing, the sky above the Atraxi lit up as dozens of drones released their payloads. The electromagnetic pulses surged through the area, and one by one the Atraxi ships began to falter, their advanced systems knocked offline by the overwhelming EMP blast. The command center erupted in a cautious cheer, but Reynolds remained composed. Monitor their status. Mia, any movement? Chen confirmed the effective paralysis of the alien fleet. Most of their ships are disabled, Major. A few are trying to retreat. Good. Keep pressure on them. Eric, send in the cleanup squads. Salvage what you can from their tech. It might give us more insight into their capabilities. As recovery teams dispatched to the site, Reynolds convened a brief meeting with his advisors. This victory is crucial, but it's not the end. We need to anticipate their next move. They'll be angry and desperate now. Sanders looked over the tactical data. Their command structure seems to rely heavily on their flagship, which we've impaired. They might call for reinforcements. We'll prepare for that, Reynolds decided. Increase surveillance and boost our defenses. I want constant updates on any changes in their fleet's status. We strike hard and fast, keeping them off balance. The successful gambit marked a significant turning point. Earth had not only defended itself effectively, but it also managed to capture invaluable Atraxi technology. As Reynolds planned the next steps, the entire world watched, united in their resolve and newly ignited hope that they could indeed defend their planet against the alien threat. As dawn crept over the horizon, the skies above Earth's major cities transformed into arenas of intense aerial combat. The disabled Atraxi ships from the previous night's EMP attack had only been the opening move in what was evolving into a prolonged engagement. Major Jack Reynolds, overseeing operations from the command center, received continuous updates as Earth's forces capitalized on their tactical advantage. Status report, Mia, Reynolds commanded, his gaze fixed on the large digital screens displaying real-time battlefield analytics. Captain Mia Chen, handling communications, relayed the latest from the front lines. Our drone fleets are keeping their remaining fighters engaged, Major, but it looks like they're attempting to regroup for a counterattack. Reynolds turned to Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders, who was coordinating the drone operations. Eric, adjust the drone fleet's formation. Push their fighters towards the upper atmosphere, limit their maneuverability. On it, Major, Sanders responded, quickly issuing commands to the drone operators. Meanwhile, Reynolds contacted Colonel Liam Hayes, the leader of the manned fighter squadron, in the thick of the battle. The communication line crackled to life, and Hayes's voice came through amidst the sounds of aerial warfare. Reynolds, we're seeing increased resistance at 30,000 feet. These Atraxi aren't backing down easily. Hold your position, Liam. We're pressing them from above with the drones. Force them into a bottleneck, Reynolds instructed, analyzing the shifting vectors on the screen. The strategy was a high-risk maneuver, requiring precise coordination between manned jets and unmanned drones. As Earth's fighters engaged the Atraxi directly, the drones, operating on AI-enhanced tactics, flanked the alien fighters, corralling them into a tighter airspace where their numbers would count for less. Drones are in position, creating the choke point now, Sanders updated, his eyes not leaving his monitor. On the aerial battlefield, the Atraxi, renowned for their tactical acumen in space combat, found themselves outmatched by Earth's adaptive strategies and the hostile terrestrial environment. Their fighters, though technologically advanced, struggled against the combined might of Earth's aerial defenses. Reynolds watched as the skirmish unfolded, noting the decreasing number of enemy blips on the radar. Mia, get me an update on any changes in the Atraxi fleet's overall strategy. Are they communicating, retreating, anything? Chen adjusted her headset, tuning into various frequencies. There's a lot of chatter, Major. It seems they're calling for support, possibly trying to regroup outside the atmosphere. Their command is in disarray. Good, keep jamming their communications. The more isolated they feel, the better, Reynolds decided, a tactical glint in his eye. As the battle drew on, Earth's forces slowly gained the upper hand. the skies began to clear of alien craft, either shot down, disabled, or retreating. Colonel Hayes' voice came through once more, breathless but triumphant. "Area is nearly clear, Major. Looks like we've got the upper sky." Reynolds allowed himself a moment of relief. "Well done, Colonel. Regroup and refuel. I want a full debrief in an hour. We need to assess our status and prepare for the next phase." With another victory secured, Reynolds knew that the war was far from over. The Atraxi were likely to retaliate with even greater force, and Earth would need to be ready. As he strategized the next moves, the world behind him worked tirelessly to support their new hero, rallying behind the defenders who soared above, protecting their planet with unmatched bravery and skill. Following the significant victory in the aerial skirmish, Earth's defenses had a momentary respite. However, Major Jack Reynolds knew that the battle was far from over. The disabled Atraxi ships provided a treasure trove of advanced technology ripe for analysis and integration into Earth's military arsenal. Gathered in the command center with his team, Reynolds opened the strategy meeting with a clear directive. "We've bought ourselves some breathing room, but let's use this time wisely. We need to adapt their technology to fortify our defenses and enhance our offensive capabilities." Dr. Sylvia Carter, head of the Earth Defense Research Division, eagerly shared her latest findings. "We've made significant breakthroughs with the Atraxi technology. Their propulsion systems are a generation ahead, and their shielding tech is unlike anything we've developed. We're close to adapting these for our own use." "Excellent, Sylvia," Reynolds replied. "Prioritize the shield tech. If we can get that operational on our fighters and defense stations, it'll give us a serious edge." Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders, responsible for tactical deployments, chimed in. "I'll coordinate with Sylvia to ensure the tech is integrated smoothly. We'll start with the high-risk units first." Meanwhile, Captain Mia Chen, who had been monitoring alien communications and movements, interrupted with urgent news. "Major, we've detected significant construction activity on the Atraxi's lunar base. It seems they're attempting to establish a stronger foothold. If they succeed, they could launch more formidable attacks from there." Reynolds processed the information, his strategic mind already turning over the implications. "We can't let that happen. Prepare a strike team. We strike that base before they complete their fortifications." Plans for the offensive quickly took shape. Colonel Liam Hayes, renowned for his prowess in space combat, was tapped to lead the assault. "We'll hit them hard and fast, exploit our new tech advantages," Reynolds briefed him. With preparations underway, Earth's engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to equip the fleet with the newly adapted Atraxi technology. Enhanced shields and faster engines were fitted to the spacecraft destined for the lunar assault. As the strike team approached the moon, the looming Atraxi base came into view, bristling with defensive armaments and buzzing with construction drones. Reynolds, coordinating from Earth's command center, gave the go-ahead. "All units, engage. Priority 1, disable their power source." Colonel Hayes led the charge, piloting his fighter through the barrage of enemy fire. The new shielding held, absorbing hits that would have previously been catastrophic. "Shields holding, pushing through to the reactor," Hayes reported, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. The ensuing battle was intense, with Earth's fighters weaving through Atraxi defenses, exploiting every weak point uncovered by their new tech. Finally, Hayes and his team reached the main reactor, delivering a precise series of strikes that led to a critical overload. "Reactor is compromised. Pull back," Hayes ordered. As the Earth forces retreated, the Atraxi base succumbed to a massive explosion, its framework collapsing, and its potential as a military stronghold thoroughly neutralized. Back on Earth, the command center burst into applause. Reynolds allowed himself a brief smile but remained focused. "Great work, everyone, but stay alert. This win will make them desperate, and a cornered enemy is dangerous." The destruction of the lunar base was a pivotal victory, showcasing Earth's growing capability to not just defend, but also to take the offensive using the enemy's technology against them. Major Reynolds, confident but cautious, prepared his team for the inevitable retaliation, knowing each victory brought them one step closer to securing Earth's safety. The successful lunar strike had significantly impaired the Atraxi's operational capabilities, but Major Jack Reynolds was aware that the war was far from over. The Atraxi, now realizing the threat posed by Earth's newly upgraded defenses, prepared for a desperate ground invasion, their last chance to salvage their campaign against Earth. "Reports are coming in of multiple Atraxi troop carriers descending towards major urban centers," Captain Mia Chen reported urgently, her eyes locked on the global tracking system. Major Reynolds, assessing the situation from the command center, knew that civilian areas were at risk. We need to deploy our ground forces immediately. Set up defensive perimeters around the cities. I want no direct engagement until we can assess their numbers and capabilities, he instructed, his voice calm but firm. Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders coordinated the deployment, using satellite imagery to predict the landing zones. We're positioning our troops in concentric circles around the cities. The Atraxi won't find an easy path in. As the Atraxi forces landed, they encountered robust resistance from Earth's prepared positions. Skyscrapers and streets became fortified strongholds, with snipers positioned at strategic vantage points and armored vehicles blocking major thoroughfares. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Sylvia Carter brought a new development to Reynolds. Jack, we've adapted more of their shield technology for ground use. We can deploy portable shield generators to cover our troops and key landmarks. Get those shields to the front lines now, Sylvia. Every second counts, Reynolds replied, his strategic mind already calculating the best deployment patterns. The urban warfare intensified as the Atraxi attempted to push through the layered defenses. However, Earth's forces, now bolstered by advanced shielding and superior weaponry, held firm. Major Reynolds watched through live feeds as Atraxi units, frustrated and outmaneuvered, began to falter. Colonel Liam Hayes, leading the defense in the field, radioed in with a status update. Major, the new shields are a game-changer. We've managed to push back several waves of attackers. They weren't prepared for this level of resistance. Reynolds, pleased with the reports, stayed focused on the broader strategy. Keep the pressure on, Liam. We can't afford to let them regroup. Push them back towards their landing zones. The battle raged throughout the night, with Earth's forces gradually gaining the upper hand. By dawn, the Atraxi troops were retreating, their numbers greatly diminished. Major Reynolds ordered a cautious pursuit, wary of potential traps or desperate last stands. As the sun rose over a battered but resilient Earth, the Atraxi invasion had been repelled. The streets of Earth's cities were littered with the remnants of the battle, but the spirit of the defenders was unbroken. In the aftermath, Major Reynolds convened a briefing with his commanders and key advisors. This was a critical victory, but it's not the end. We need to stay vigilant and ready. The Atraxi still have resources, and they're now more dangerous than ever after this defeat. As cleanup crews and medical teams worked through the cities, Earth began to process the implications of their success. The victory in urban warfare had not only demonstrated Earth's military prowess, but also its citizens' courage and resolve. Major Reynolds, though cautious about celebrating too soon, allowed himself a brief moment of pride. Earth had stood united and strong against a formidable foe, and they were ready for whatever challenges might come next. After the failed ground invasion by the Atraxi, Earth's forces were not only left to manage the aftermath, but also had the opportunity to interrogate captured enemy soldiers. Major Jack Reynolds knew that understanding the Atraxi's technology and motivations would be crucial for preventing future assaults. In a high-security facility, Reynolds met with Dr. Sylvia Carter and Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders to discuss the findings from the interrogation sessions and the analysis of captured equipment. "What have we learned about their weaknesses?" Reynolds asked, looking over the detailed reports. Dr. Carter adjusted her glasses, her face serious. "We've made significant progress, Jack. It appears that the Atraxi's reliance on centralized command units for field operations is a major vulnerability. If we can disrupt their command signals, we can throw their troops into disarray." Sanders chimed in. "And from the equipment we've recovered, we've isolated a specific frequency that their command units use. We could potentially develop a jamming device to disrupt their communications effectively." Reynolds nodded, processing the information. "Develop that jamming device, Eric. Make it a priority. Sylvia, keep digging into their tech. Anything that gives us an edge is invaluable." As Earth's top scientists and engineers worked to develop the new technology, Reynolds coordinated with his military strategists to plan future defenses. They decided to conduct a series of controlled tests on the jamming device in a secure location. Once the device was ready, they moved to a remote military base where they set up a simulated battlefield environment. "Let's see how this device performs under real conditions," Reynolds said as he oversaw the deployment of the jamming device against Atraxi communication equipment. The test was a success. The Atraxi communication lines were completely severed, leaving the test units unable to coordinate or respond effectively. "This is exactly what we needed," Reynolds stated, pleased with the outcome. "Prepare to mass-produce the jammer and distribute it to all units." With this new capability, Earth's forces felt more prepared than ever. The advantage of surprise and technological superiority had shifted in their favor, and morale among the troops was high. Reynolds convened a meeting with his commanders to discuss the integration of the new technology into their overall battle plans. This jamming device will be our key weapon in the next engagement. We'll disrupt their command and control, leaving them vulnerable to our attacks. As Earth continued to fortify its defenses, the Atraxi, unaware of the new development, began regrouping for another assault. However, this time, Earth was ready with a new strategic advantage that could potentially turn any encounter into a decisive victory. Reynolds watched the deployment of the new jammers across various military bases and outposts, feeling a cautious optimism. We've turned their own technology against them, he reflected. Now, let's use it to ensure peace. The preparation paid off sooner than expected. When the Atraxi launched a surprise raid, Earth's forces were ready. The jammers worked flawlessly, crippling the Atraxi's command structure as planned. What was meant to be a full-scale assault turned into a swift victory for Earth. As the dust settled, Reynolds knew that while the immediate threat was over, the war might still have other surprises. However, armed with their new strategic advantage and united in their cause, Earth's forces were more confident and ready to defend their world from any future threats. After a series of strategic victories enabled by their newfound jamming technology, Earth's forces prepared for what Major Jack Reynolds hoped would be the decisive battle to end the Atraxi threat. The Atraxi's main command ship still loomed menacingly in orbit, coordinating the remnants of their fleet in a desperate attempt to regain control of the situation. Reynolds convened a high-level briefing with his core team, including Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders and Captain Mia Chen. "This is it," Reynolds began, his voice steady and commanding. "We've managed to disrupt their operations and weaken their forces significantly. Now, we strike at the heart, their command ship. If we take it down, we cripple their ability to wage war." Sanders, responsible for the operational readiness of the jamming devices, confirmed their capability. "The jammers are more effective than ever, Major. We can maintain a complete communications blackout around the command ship, isolating it from the rest of the fleet." Chen, overseeing intelligence, added, "Our latest scans show that their defenses are still strong, but there are gaps in their surveillance network we can exploit. We have a narrow window to strike." Reynolds nodded, formulating the plan. "We'll need a two-pronged approach. Air and space units will engage the fleet, drawing their attention away from the command ship. Meanwhile, a special ops team will infiltrate the ship, plant charges, and get out before it goes critical." The plan set into motion. Earth's forces launched a full-scale offensive. Space fighters and drones equipped with the latest jamming tech darted through the Atraxi defenses, drawing fire and disrupting their formations. The distraction allowed a stealth shuttle, carrying Reynolds and his special ops team, to slip through unnoticed. As the shuttle approached the Atraxi command ship, the tension among the team was palpable. Reynolds, suited up for the mission, checked his gear, and looked to his team. "Stay sharp, stick to the plan. We do this right, and we all go home." They docked quietly in an auxiliary bay, and the team quickly disembarked, moving with precision through the dimly lit corridors of the alien ship. They encountered minimal resistance thanks to the chaos sown by the jammers. Reaching the core of the command ship, the team expertly placed the explosive charges. As they set the timers, Reynolds communicated back to Earth. "Charges are set. We're heading out. Prepare for a big bang." The retreat was tense, but the team managed to evacuate the ship moments before the charges detonated. From a safe distance, they watched as a series of explosions ripped through the Atraxi command ship, sending shockwaves through their fleet. The destruction of their command hub sent the Atraxi fleet into disarray, with many ships retreating or surrendering. Reynolds and his team returned to Earth as heroes, having delivered a crippling blow to the Atraxi invasion force. In the aftermath of the battle, Reynolds addressed the world, declaring the end of the Atraxi threat. "Today we celebrate not just a victory, but the enduring spirit of humanity. We faced a formidable enemy, and together we prevailed." The victory marked a new era for Earth. With the threat neutralized, Reynolds focused on strengthening Earth's defenses and fostering diplomatic relations with other interstellar civilizations. Earth had not only defended itself successfully, but it also earned a place on the galactic stage as a sovereign and powerful entity. With the destruction of the Atraxi command ship, the remnants of their fleet scattered, leaderless and defeated. Earth had secured a resounding victory, marking the end of the Atraxi threat. Major Jack Reynolds, now a celebrated hero, stood before the world, a symbol of human determination and strategic prowess. In the aftermath of the conflict, Reynolds focused on consolidating Earth's defense and using the peace to rebuild and advance. At a global debriefing attended by world leaders and military officials, Reynolds laid out his vision for the future. "We've demonstrated our capability to defend our planet and defeat a formidable foe," Reynolds began, his voice resonant in the assembly hall. "Now we must use what we've learned to prevent future threats and maintain peace." Lieutenant Commander Eric Sanders and Captain Mia Chen, standing among the audience, exchanged proud glances. They had been integral to the victory, and their efforts were being recognized on a global stage. Reynolds continued, "We'll be establishing a permanent space defense platform using the technology we've captured and developed. This platform will not only serve as a deterrent, but also as a beacon of peace and cooperation for other civilizations we may encounter." Dr. Sylvia Carter, who had led the reverse engineering of Atraxi technology, contributed to the briefing. "We've made significant advancements in propulsion and energy systems. These will not only enhance our defense capabilities, but also benefit civilian applications, from transportation to power generation." As Earth's nations began to rebuild, Reynolds initiated a series of diplomatic missions to foster relations with other interstellar entities. Earth's successful defense had attracted the attention of multiple alien civilizations, some cautious, others curious and eager to engage. Reynolds appointed Captain Chen to lead the newly formed Interstellar Relations Bureau. "Mia, your experience and wisdom will be vital as we navigate these new waters. We must ensure that Earth's interests are safeguarded while promoting cooperation and peace." With humanity united like never before, the reconstruction efforts brought about a new era of prosperity and technological advancement. Cities were rebuilt with improved infrastructure and technologies, making them more resilient and efficient. Colonel Liam Hayes, who had led many of the critical battles, was tasked with training the next generation of Earth's defenders. "We've learned a lot from this war," Hayes told his new recruits, "and it's our duty to keep improving, to ensure that the sacrifices made were not in vain." As peace settled over Earth, Reynolds often visited the memorials erected for those who had fallen in the war. Reflecting on the past, he knew that vigilance and preparation were essential. Earth had won the war, but the universe was vast and full of unknowns. "Let this victory be a foundation, not just a memory," Reynolds said during a remembrance ceremony. "We must be guardians of our planet, stewards of our own fate, and always ready to defend the peace we've so dearly won." Under Reynolds' leadership, Earth continued to strengthen its position as a formidable power in the galaxy, dedicated to upholding the values of freedom and cooperation. The end of the Atraxi War marked not just a victory, but the beginning of a new chapter in human history, with Earth emerging as a key player on the interstellar stage.